Picture a realm where light dances without shadow, where voices weave a symphony of endless praise. Then imagine a single whisper, a fleeting thought, unraveling it all. This is not just a tale of rebellion or ruin. It's a journey through the heart of creation, where love and pride collide, where battles in the sky echo in the souls of men. We're about to dive into the saga of Lucifer, the morning star, his glory, his defiance, and the war that birthed the eternal struggle between good and evil. How could such a radiant being turn against its own light? What drives a heart to reject infinite love in exchange for a throne of darkness? Stay with us as we unravel this cosmic mystery, piecing together fragments of ancient scriptures and timeless truths, reimagined in a way you've never heard before. Before we begin, if you're excited about more stories that pierce the veil of the divine, hit that like button to let us know. It will motivate us to bring you more. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell so you never miss a chapter of this epic journey. Now step into the heavens, where the first discordant note is about to sound. In the boundless expanse before time took shape, the heavens stretched out as a tapestry of unblemished light, a sanctuary where harmony reigned unchallenged. Every corner pulsed with a brilliance that defied description, a symphony of radiant beings woven into the fabric of eternity. Angels, countless and resplendent, danced in perfect unison, their voices rising in a ceaseless hymn to the one who had called them into existence. The air shimmered with purity, untainted by the faintest whisper of discord, and the presence of the Creator saturated every moment with boundless goodness. Imagine a dawn that never fades, where joy and reverence flow like rivers without end. This was the celestial realm before the shadow dared to stir. No thought of rebellion marred this divine order. It was a place where purpose and peace intertwined seamlessly. The seraphim blazed like living flames, their 6 wings trembling with adoration as they encircled the throne of the Almighty. Below them, cherubim stood as silent sentinels, their eyes myriad and piercing, guarding secrets too vast for mortal minds. Archangels wielded swords of light, their strength a testament to the Creator's might, while the humbler angels moved like gentle breezes, ever attentive to their sacred duties. Picture a kingdom where every breath is a song, every glance a prayer. This was the cradle of creation, untouched by the stain of sin. Yet within this perfection, a subtle shift was destined to unfold, a ripple so faint it went unnoticed by the heavenly host. The brilliance of this realm was not merely a backdrop, but a living testament to the Creator's infinite love, a love that granted freedom to all who dwelled within it. The angels did not merely exist, they thrived in a communion so deep it mirrored the heart of the one who formed them. From the highest seraph to the simplest guardian, each bore a spark of divine will, a gift that made their worship not rote but radiant. This was the stage upon which the greatest tragedy and the greatest story would soon begin to unfold. Amid this celestial chorus emerged a figure unlike any other, a being whose presence commanded awe even among the radiant throng. Lucifer, the morning star, stood as the first stroke of the Creator's hand, a masterpiece sculpted with unmatched care and splendor. His form shimmered with a light that outshone the stars, his wings unfurling like dawn, breaking over an endless horizon. Wisdom flowed from him like a river, deep and unfathomable, second only to the mind of the one who had shaped him. Strength pulsed within his frame, a power so vast it seemed to ripple through the very fabric of heaven, marking him as the crown jewel of all that was made. The Creator delighted in this firstborn, pouring into him gifts that set him apart from his brethren. Where seraphim burned with fervor and cherubim guarded with vigilance, Lucifer embodied a harmony of intellect and beauty that drew every eye. His voice, when raised, was a melody that wove through the heavens, a sound so pure it seemed to echo the heartbeat of eternity. Angels paused to listen, their own songs enriched by his presence, as if he were a prism refracting the light of the Almighty into hues beyond imagining. Ezekiel spoke of him as the seal of perfection, a being flawless in every facet, a living testament to the artistry of divine love. Yet this perfection was not static. It was alive, dynamic, a reflection of the Creator's boundless imagination. Lucifer was not merely a servant but a marvel, a being whose every movement bespoke the grandeur of his origin. To gaze upon him was to see the handiwork of the one who spoke worlds into being, a creation so exquisite that even the Almighty took joy in its making. His brilliance was not a gift to hoard, but a beacon to share, a light meant to illuminate the glory of the one who had fashioned him. In him, the heavens saw the pinnacle of what could be, a being born of love, destined to shine forever. Lucifer's role in this celestial realm was not one of mere adornment. He was the conductor of heaven's grand orchestra, the flame that kindled the songs of praise. With a voice that resonated like fire in the void, he led the choirs of angels, weaving their melodies into a tapestry of worship that ascended to the throne. The seraphim, with their ceaseless cries of "Holy, holy, holy," found in him a rhythm that amplified their fervor, their flames dancing to his cadence. Cherubim, stoic and wise, tilted their heads to hear his words, finding in them echoes of the mysteries they guarded. Even Michael, the warrior clad in light, looked to him with a quiet reverence, his sword still as Lucifer's song filled the air. His presence was magnetic, a force that drew the heavenly host into unity. When he walked among the fiery stones of the holy mountain, his steps were a dance of grace, each one a testament to the harmony he embodied. Angels gathered around him, not out of command but out of awe, their lights blending with his in a symphony of adoration. He was the morning star, the first to rise in the celestial dawn, casting brilliance across the firmament and guiding others into the presence of the Creator. His charisma was not a tool of manipulation, but a gift of inspiration, a spark that ignited devotion in those who followed him. This was no ordinary leadership. It was a calling woven into his very being. The book of Job hints at his strength, a creation so formidable that even in sin, his essence remained unbroken, a testament to the might bestowed upon him. He spoke of the Creator with a depth that stirred the heavens, his words painting visions of divine majesty that left the host breathless. To the angels, he was not just a brother but a beacon, a living reflection of the one they served. Through him, the glory of the Almighty shone brighter, a light that seemed eternal, until the first shadow flickered within. Yet beneath this radiant exterior, a quiet tremor began to stir, a whisper so subtle it slipped past the vigilance of heaven's guardians. In the stillness of his own thoughts, Lucifer paused, gazing into the mirror of his own brilliance. What if my light could burn brighter, he mused, a question born not of malice but of wonder. What if this glory, this splendor, were mine to claim, not merely to reflect? These were not shouts of defiance but murmurs, soft and fleeting, like a breeze rustling through a forest of light. Yet within them lay a seed, small but potent, destined to grow into something vast and terrible. At first, these thoughts were mere curiosities, fleeting shadows across a mind accustomed to purity. He traced the contours of his wings, marveling at their luster, and pondered the strength that coursed through him. Was it not possible, he wondered, that such gifts hinted at a destiny beyond service? The heavens remained oblivious, their songs unbroken, but within Lucifer, a rift was forming, a fracture between the light he bore and the purpose it was meant to serve. It was not yet rebellion, not yet sin, but a turning inward, a gaze that lingered too long on his own reflection. Consider the serpent in Eden, whose first words to Eve were a question. Did God really say? So too did Lucifer's fall begin with a query, a spark of doubt that flickered in the recesses of his soul. The angels saw no change. His voice still led their praises, his light still dazzled. But each time he stood before the throne, that whisper grew louder, a quiet insistence that he was more than a vessel, more than a mirror. The harmony of heaven held firm, yet beneath its surface, the morning star was beginning to drift, his heart tilting toward a horizon he could not yet name. Gradually, this inward gaze deepened, a shift so slow it was imperceptible even to Lucifer himself. Where once his every thought had turned to the Creator, now they lingered on his own form, his own power. The beauty that had been a gift became a snare, drawing his eyes away from the one who had bestowed it. His wisdom, once a tool to exalt the Almighty, twisted into a lens through which he measured his own worth. I am the seal of perfection, he thought, echoing the words of Scripture, but now they rang with a different tone, not gratitude but pride. The light that had guided the host was becoming a flame that burned for itself alone. This was no sudden plunge, but a descent carved by countless moments of self-regard. The seraphim still sang, the cherubim still watched, but Lucifer's heart was no longer wholly theirs. He stood atop the holy mountain, his brilliance undimmed, yet within him, the reverence that had defined him was cooling. Imagine a star that begins to consume its own fire, its glow turning inward until it collapses under its own weight. This was the path Lucifer tread. The freedom granted by the Creator, meant to foster love, became the soil in which his pride took root, a gift turned against its giver. The book of Ezekiel laments, "You were blameless in your ways until wickedness was found in you," a verse that captures this tragic turn. His splendor, once a hymn to divine artistry, became a throne he longed to ascend. His voice, once a bridge to the Almighty, now carried a subtle dissonance, a note of ambition that clashed with heaven's song. The angels felt no tremor yet, but the morning star was no longer the same. His light, though radiant, was tilting toward shadow, and the heavens in their innocence stood on the brink of a storm they could not foresee. As the embers of self-regard kindled within Lucifer, the celestial harmony that once flowed effortlessly through him began to falter, casting a shadow over his radiant presence. The grand choirs of heaven, once lifted by his resonant voice, now carried a subtle strain, as if the air itself mourned the absence of his full spirit. Gabriel, whose keen senses had long harmonized with the morning star's melodies, felt a tremor in the ether, a restlessness that flickered in Lucifer's light like a star wavering in a storm. His steps, once a graceful rhythm across the radiant stones of the divine mountain, grew tentative, each one echoing with a heaviness that bespoke a soul turning inward. The seraphim, their fiery wings trembling in ceaseless praise, seemed to dim ever so slightly, sensing a discord they could not name, while the cherubim's countless eyes narrowed, peering into a mystery that eluded their ancient wisdom. This was not a clamor of revolt, but a quiet unraveling, a retreat so delicate it cloaked itself in the guise of brilliance. Where Lucifer had once stood as the heart of worship, his form blazing with fervor, he now hovered at the edges, his gaze drifting from the throne to a horizon only he could see. The heavenly host pressed on, their voices weaving a tapestry of adoration, yet his silence carved a void, a missing note in a song that had once been flawless. Picture a lighthouse whose beam begins to flicker, still guiding ships, but with a faltering glow. So too did Lucifer's light wane, perceptible only to those closest to him. Angels whispered among themselves, their words tinged with unease. "Where is the fire that once led us?" The harmony held, but its foundation trembled as the morning star's heart drifted further from the unity he had once embodied. The change was gradual, a slow erosion rather than a sudden break, yet it bore the weight of inevitability. His brilliance, which had once drawn the host together like a magnet, now shimmered with a strange solitude, a light that no longer sought to blend but to stand apart. Imagine a river whose waters begin to pool rather than flow, its current stilled by an unseen barrier. This was Lucifer, his purpose stagnating as his thoughts turned inward. The book of Ezekiel later reflected this shift, noting how he was blameless in his ways until wickedness was found, a testament to how even the subtlest drift could presage a fall. Heaven's song persisted, but its once peerless leader was slipping away, leaving a silence that whispered of storms yet to come. Amid this quiet divergence, a voice pierced the veil of Lucifer's introspection, resonant and tender, like the murmur of a deep sea cradling the shore. The Creator, whose hands had shaped the vastness of eternity, spoke with a sorrow that seemed to stretch across the boundless expanse. "My son, the seal of my perfection, I see your thoughts straying from the path I set." It was a call wrapped in love, not a thunderous judgment, but a father's plaintive reach toward a heart drifting into shadow. He spoke of the light Lucifer bore, a gift born of divine affection, not a flame to be seized as his own, urging him to remember its source. The words lingered in the sacred stillness, a beacon amidst the gathering dusk of Lucifer's soul, offering a chance to turn back before the rift grew too wide. This was no mere admonition, but a profound act of mercy, a dialogue between the Maker and his masterpiece. The Creator, whose omniscience pierced the depths of every being, saw the spark of pride glowing within Lucifer, a flame that threatened to consume the purity he had instilled. Like a potter gently shaping clay before it hardens, he sought to guide his creation back to its intended form, saying, "This light is a reflection of my love, not a crown for your own glory." The sorrow in his tone was palpable, a grief that echoed the loss of a bond once unbreakable. Consider the parable of the lost sheep, where the shepherd seeks the one who strays, not with wrath but with a longing to restore. So too did the Creator call, his voice a lifeline cast across the widening gulf. Yet this call carried a weight beyond comfort. It was a mirror held up to Lucifer's soul, revealing the peril of his inward turn. The one who had breathed life into the cosmos understood the fragility of the freedom he had granted, a gift that could elevate or destroy. His words were not a command but an invitation, steeped in patience that spanned eternities. "Return to me, and your light will shine as it was meant to." The heavenly host, absorbed in their praise, heard nothing of this exchange, their voices rising in oblivious unity. But for Lucifer, the moment was a crossroads, a whisper of grace against the growing clamor of his own desires, a plea from the heart of creation itself. Lucifer stood before the throne, his form aglow with a serenity that belied the tempest within, and answered with a voice smooth as polished stone, "Father, did you not fashion me to explore and comprehend the vastness of your works? Is it wrong to seek their depths?" The words carried a sheen of earnestness, a son's plea for understanding, yet beneath them surged a current of wounded pride, sharp and unyielding. The Creator's gentle warning, intended as a shield, struck him like an arrow, piercing the armor of his self-assurance. Why, he wondered, must his fidelity be questioned, when his light had burned brighter than any other? The rebuke, soft as it was, felt like a chain on the boundless potential he saw within himself. This was no open defiance but a fracture deepening in silence, a pride that twisted love into resentment. Lucifer's mind raced, replaying the Creator's words, not as care, but as doubt, a suggestion that he could not be trusted to wield his own brilliance. Imagine a master sculptor whose apprentice bristles at guidance, not because it's wrong, but because it implies he is less than perfect. So too did Lucifer chafe, his heart recoiling from the implication that his greatness needed oversight. His response, though measured, masked a growing fire. "I desire only what you have given," he said. But the truth was dawning. He desired it for himself, not for the one who had bestowed it. The sting was subtle yet profound, a wound that pride nursed into a blaze. Where once he had seen the Creator's voice as a melody to follow, now it grated against his burgeoning sense of self, a reminder that he was not the source but the vessel. The book of Isaiah later captured this moment's echo, noting how he said in his heart, "I will ascend," a declaration born not of sudden revolt, but of this slow, festering shift. He bowed, his form still radiant to the host, but within, a chasm yawned wider, fueled by a question that gnawed at him. "If I am so great, why must I be cautioned?" The Creator's love remained, but Lucifer's perception of it dimmed, clouded by a pride that saw correction as confinement. The Creator, whose patience spanned the breadth of creation, did not press his Son into submission, but extended a hand of grace, holding back the trial that loomed like a shadow over heaven's horizon. "A great revelation draws near," he said, his voice a steady flame against the gathering dark. "And when it comes, the winds will howl through the firmament, testing the depths of your heart." It was a warning steeped in urgency, a call to brace himself against the storm brewing within, yet he delayed its arrival, offering a season of reprieve. This was not weakness, but love, a chance for Lucifer to anchor himself in obedience before the tempest tore through his soul. The words painted a vision of upheaval, a revelation that would shake the celestial order, a wind that would buffet even the mightiest of angels. "Prepare yourself," the Creator urged. "Root your spirit in the truth of your making, for the test will be fierce. Picture a lighthouse keeper warning of an approaching gale, granting time to secure the tower before the waves crash. This was the Creator's gift, a pause in the unfolding of his plan to allow his son to find his footing. The heavenly host continued their song, unaware of the stakes, their voices a serene counterpoint to the tension building in Lucifer's silence. The Creator's delay was a testament to his hope, a belief that love could yet mend what pride had begun to unravel. This second chance was more than a reprieve. It was a plea woven with the threads of eternity. The one who knew every star by name saw the path Lucifer tread, a road veering towards shadow, yet he withheld the full weight of the coming test. "Strengthen your loyalty," he whispered, his tone carrying the weight of a father who longed to spare his child pain. The storm he spoke of was not merely external, but internal, a battle within Lucifer's own being, where pride and devotion would clash. The seraphim's flames burned on, the cherubim's vigilance held, but for the morning star, this was the final quiet before the roar, a moment to choose between the light he bore and the shadow he nurtured. Lucifer knelt before the throne, his voice rising like a soft wind through the stillness. "Father, whatever trial awaits, I yearn to obey. My heart still burns with your love." The pledge rang true, drawn from a well of memory where devotion had once reigned supreme, a flicker of the bond that had bound him to the Creator. Yet even as he spoke, a darker tide swelled within, a whisper that coiled around his promise like ivy strangling a tree. "Am I not the brightest, the one who outshines all?" His words were a mask, sincere in their intent, but warring with a conviction that he was destined for more than service, a greatness that need not bend to another's will. The Creator's patience lingered, his gaze piercing the facade, yet Lucifer's heart hardened beneath the weight of his own grandeur. The choirs he had once led with fire now sang without his fervor, their melodies a distant echo as he turned his eyes from the throne to a vision of his own making. "Do I not deserve more?" he mused, the question no longer a whisper, but a roar within, drowning out the love that had shaped him. Think of a sun that begins to hoard its light, refusing to share its warmth. This was Lucifer, his devotion cooling into a relentless pursuit of self. The Creator's final words resounded, "I will not turn from you, but you are free," a sorrowful farewell to a son slipping beyond reach. The heavenly host saw no fracture, their worship unbroken, but within Lucifer, the storm was no longer a distant threat. It was here, raging in silence. His light still dazzled, a beacon to the unsuspecting angels, but its purpose had shifted, no longer a hymn to the Almighty, but a monument to his own ambition. The freedom granted by the Creator, once a bridge to unity, became a chasm he leapt into willingly, his heart divided between the echo of loyalty and the call of pride. Like a ship casting off its moorings, he drifted from the shore of heaven's will, his course set toward a destiny he could not yet fathom, and the celestial realm stood poised for the breaking that would follow. In a moment that seemed to suspend the heartbeat of eternity, the Creator summoned his celestial host, their radiant forms gathering beneath a firmament aglow with unutterable splendor. His voice rolled forth, soft as a whisper, yet mighty as rolling thunder. "I will forge a material universe, a realm where life shall blossom, a mirror to my love and glory." Before the angels unfurled a vision of breathtaking scope, galaxies spiraling like dancers in a cosmic waltz, stars igniting like beacons in an endless night, and planets tracing paths of perfect order. At the heart of this tapestry gleamed Earth, a jewel cradled in the void, destined to pulse with the breath of creation. The heavens quivered with awe, the seraphim's flames flaring brighter, their cries of "Holy, holy, holy" swelling into a crescendo that shook the foundations of the divine realm. This was no mere proclamation, but a revelation of boundless wonder, a glimpse into the mind of the one who wove existence from nothingness. The angels, their eyes wide with rapture, beheld a world where beauty would flourish in forms they had never dreamed, rivers carving through stone, forests whispering with life, and skies painted with hues of dawn and dusk. Imagine a painter unveiling a canvas so vast it defies the frame, each stroke a testament to his soul. This was the Creator's gift, a universe alive with His essence. The cherubim, guardians of mysteries, leaned closer, their myriad gazes tracing the threads of a plan too grand to fathom. Joy surged through the host, a tidal wave of delight at the privilege of witnessing such a marvel, their voices rising in a hymn that echoed across the boundless expanse. Yet the vision held a deeper layer, a promise that transcended the material splendor unfolding before them. The Creator's words grew solemn, pregnant with mystery. Upon that earth I will craft beings in my image, souls of flesh and spirit, a union of heaven and dust. The angels marveled, their minds stretching to grasp this fusion. Creatures fragile yet eternal, bearing the imprint of the divine. Then came the pinnacle of the unveiling, a truth that stilled the firmament. I, the second of my Trinity, will take their form, born as Jesus Christ, and in their humanity you shall adore me. The host erupted in a chorus of exultation, their lights merging into a blaze of adoration, for the love that would stoop to such humility was beyond their wildest songs. Amid this torrent of jubilation, one figure stood apart, his stillness a stark contrast to the fervor engulfing the heavens. Lucifer, the morning star, gazed upon the vision with eyes that did not reflect the joy of his brethren, his form rigid as if carved from ice. The Creator's plan to descend into flesh, to walk among beings of clay, to suffer and die for their redemption, struck him not with awe, but with a bitter pang that coiled deep within his core. Why must perfection veil itself in weakness, he wondered, his thoughts churning like a storm gathering over a tranquil sea. The image of a crucified God, bloodied and broken, clashed against the grandeur he had always known, a dissonance that gnawed at the edges of his pride. This was not mere disbelief, but a visceral rejection, a refusal to bend his radiant will to such a decree. Where the angels saw love beyond measure, Lucifer saw diminishment, an almighty choosing humility over majesty, elevating dust over light. Why should we, born of fire and eternity, kneel before creatures so frail? He mused, his gaze darkening as the vision of Earth's inhabitants unfolded. The host's cries of praise rang hollow in his ears, their delight a foreign tongue he could no longer speak. Picture a king watching his throne promised to a beggar, not out of malice, but out of a pride that could not fathom such a reversal. This was Lucifer, his heart recoiling from a plan that exalted what he deemed unworthy. The sting of exclusion deepened his silence, a question burning brighter than his own light. Why not me? For eons he had shone as the brightest, his splendor a mirror to the Creator's glory, his wisdom a crown among the host. If any were to bridge the divine and the mortal, should it not be him, the pinnacle of creation? The book of Isaiah later echoed this torment, his voice declaring, "I will make myself like the Most High," a cry rooted in this moment of bitter realization. The angels danced in their rapture, oblivious to the shadow growing within their brother. But Lucifer's stillness was a herald of the fracture to come, his pride aflame now fanned by envy and disdain. The hour of reckoning arrived, the celestial assembly poised beneath the Creator's gaze, their lights bowing in reverent acceptance of his will. One by one, the angels knelt, their wings folding in a gesture of worship, their voices a unified testament to the mystery of the Incarnation. Yet Lucifer remained upright, his form a pillar of defiance amidst the sea of submission, his eyes locked on the throne with a cold intensity. Then, in a silence that seemed to choke the heavens, he parted his lips and spoke a single word. No. Its sound cutting through the firmament like a blade through silk. The angels froze, their songs faltering, as the weight of that refusal rippled outward, a tremor that shook the very order of eternity. He drew a breath, and the word came again, this time with a force that reverberated like a storm breaking over a fragile shore. No. It was not a scream, but a decree, a king pronouncing judgment on a command he deemed beneath him. The Creator looked upon him, his eyes brimming with a sorrow that spanned creation. Yet Lucifer met that gaze with unyielding contempt, his heart a fortress of pride. This was not a mere protest, but a declaration of war, a line drawn in the celestial sand that no light could erase. Imagine a star refusing to orbit its sun, claiming its own gravity. This was Lucifer, his defiance a spark that ignited the heavens into chaos. The host recoiled, their unity splintered by the audacity of their brightest brother. How could the morning star, whose voice had once led their praise, stand against the one who had formed him? The seraphim's flames flickered in shock. The cherubim's eyes widened in disbelief, yet Lucifer stood unbowed, his radiance now a weapon rather than a gift. His no was not born of haste, but of a conviction that had festered through every moment of the Creator's vision, a refusal to surrender his glory to a plan he could not accept. The peace of heaven shattered, its harmony replaced by a silence that bore the weight of impending doom, as the morning star chose his path, and with it the fate of countless others. Turning from the throne, Lucifer faced the multitude, his presence a towering inferno amidst the trembling host, his voice rising with a calm that belied its venom. "Do you not see the folly in this? Can you not grasp the absurdity of what is asked?" His words flowed like a river of dark honey, smooth and compelling, piercing the hearts of those who had once followed him in song. He spoke not of hatred, but of dignity, painting a vision of a heaven where beings of light need not bow to flesh, where their brilliance could reign unchallenged. "We are eternal, crafted from fire. Why should we abase ourselves before clay?" he asked, his gaze sweeping over the angels, igniting embers of doubt where certainty had once stood. This was no crude rebellion, but a masterful seduction, his charisma a net cast wide to ensnare the wavering. "God demands the impossible," he pressed, his tone icy yet persuasive, "to worship a form that bleeds, that dies. This is not glory, but shame." Angels murmured, their voices a low hum of unease, some nodding as his logic took root. "Lucifer speaks truth. How can this be just?" Picture a philosopher swaying a crowd with reason, not force. This was his power, a mind that turned divine love into a question of worth. He promised freedom, a realm where their light would shine without submission, a dream that glittered like a false dawn against the Creator's plan. Not all succumbed, many stood firm, their faith unshaken by his eloquence. Yet a third of the host wavered, drawn by the allure of his vision. The book of Revelation later numbered these fallen, a third of heaven's stars swept down by his tail, a testament to the potency of his call. His words were not lies, but a twisted truth, a mirror that reflected their own greatness back at them, urging them to claim it. The seraphim's song grew faint. The cherubim's vigilance wavered as Lucifer's army coalesced, not out of coercion, but out of a shared longing to rise above the decree they could not bear. Heaven's unity frayed, its light splitting into factions, as the morning star's defiance birthed a rebellion that would echo through time. As the whispers of discord swelled into a chorus, a single voice rose above the tumult, clear and unyielding, slicing through the haze of Lucifer's rhetoric like a blade of pure light. "Who is like God?" Michael, the humble archangel, stepped forward, his form small compared to the towering rebels, yet ablaze with a strength that defied rank. His cry was not a question, but a thunderclap of truth, a declaration that shattered the seductive spell woven by the morning star. The heavens shuddered, the host pausing as his words pierced their souls, a reminder of the Creator's unmatched sovereignty that no pride could eclipse. Michael faced Lucifer, his eyes steady, his sword unraised yet pulsing with divine resolve. "You are blinded by arrogance," he said, his voice calm but resonant as a storm's edge. "Your light has twisted into shadow, seeking to overshadow the one who made us." The accusation struck deep, stripping bare the vanity that cloaked Lucifer's cause. Imagine a lone sentinel standing against a rising tide, not with force, but with unshakable conviction. This was Michael, his humility a fortress against the rebellion's swell. His words rallied the faithful, their lights flaring anew, as the seraphim's flames steadied and the cherubim's gazes sharpened. The line was drawn, a chasm splitting the celestial realm between those who knelt and those who stood defiant. Lucifer's gaze met Michael's, a flicker of fury mingled with surprise. Never had his brother challenged him so boldly. Yet Michael's cry, "Who is like God?" echoed on, a beacon that pierced the growing dark, awakening the host to their origin and purpose. The Book of Jude later praised this restraint, noting how Michael rebuked evil not with scorn, but with reliance on the Creator's might. The faithful gathered beneath his banner, their faith a shield against the storm, as heaven braced for the clash that would sunder its peace forever. The heavens, once a symphony of light and peace, erupted into a tempest of fire and thunder as Lucifer's defiance ignited the first war among the divine host. His rebel legion, their radiance now warped into jagged shadows, clashed against the faithful with a ferocity that tore at the fabric of eternity. The firmament trembled, its golden hues fracturing into bursts of searing brilliance as swords of light met in a dance of destruction. Lucifer led his forces, his form a dark inferno, wings unfurling like a storm cloud, his voice a roar that drowned out the fading echoes of praise. The seraphim's flames wavered, caught in the chaos, while the cherubim's vigilant eyes reflected a battlefield where brothers turned foes. This was no mere skirmish, but a cosmic upheaval, a collision of wills that shook the pillars of creation. The rebels fought with a wild, unyielding fury, their once holy light twisted into weapons of rage, each strike a testament to their rejection of the Creator's decree. Across the expanse, Michael's faithful stood resolute, their blades flashing with a quiet strength, a bulwark against the tide of rebellion. Imagine a sky torn apart by lightning, beauty, and terror entwined. This was the celestial realm, its harmony shattered by the clash of light and dark. The air crackled with the energy of betrayal, the ground beneath the fiery stones pulsing with the weight of a war that would redefine the divine order. The sounds of battle were deafening yet hauntingly beautiful, cries of defiance mingling with hymns of loyalty, a cacophony that reverberated through the void. Angels who had once sung together now struck at one another, their blows sending sparks cascading like fallen stars. The Book of Revelation later glimpsed this moment, describing a dragon sweeping a third of the stars from the sky, a vivid echo of the chaos unfolding. The celestial host, divided for the first time, became a tableau of splendor and sorrow, a war not of flesh but of spirit, where every clash bore the weight of eternal consequence. At the heart of this maelstrom stood Michael, a figure of unassuming stature yet imbued with a strength that belied his rank. His voice cut through the tumult. "Who is like God?" A cry that rang like a clarion call, rallying the faithful amidst the storm. His sword, aglow with the Creator's authority, moved with precision, not in rage but in resolute purpose, parrying the darkened blades of the rebels. Where Lucifer's light had turned to shadow, Michael's burned pure and steady, a flame fueled not by pride, but by an unshakable trust in the one he served. The seraphim rallied to his side, their fires bolstered by his resolve, while the cherubim flanked him, their wisdom a shield against the chaos. This was not a strength born of might alone, but of faith, a power that flowed from surrender rather than supremacy. Michael faced Lucifer, his brother turned adversary, with eyes that held no malice, only a sorrowful certainty that righteousness must prevail. Imagine a lone tree standing firm against a hurricane, its roots deep in unyielding soil. This was Michael, his humility a force that outmatched the rebels' fury. His every strike was a prayer, a testament to the Creator's sovereignty, turning back the tide of rebellion with a quiet might that shook the heavens. The faithful angels drew strength from him, their lights merging into a wall that the rebels could not breach. The Book of Daniel offers a glimpse of this valor, recounting how Michael aided a messenger against the Prince of Persia, a prelude to his stand here. His cry, "Who is like God?" was not a boast but a truth, a reminder that no created being could rival the Almighty. Lucifer's forces, though numerous and fierce, faltered before this unwavering resolve, their shadowed brilliance dimming against the purity of his purpose. The celestial battlefield became a testament to faith's power, a war where the humble outshone the proud, and Michael's steadfast heart turned the chaos into a proving ground for divine will. As the battle raged, the tide began to shift, the faithful's unity proving stronger than the rebels' fractured ambition. Michael raised his sword high, its light piercing the darkened veil that cloaked Lucifer's form, and with a voice that thundered through the firmament, he declared, "By God's power, fall." The words were not his own, but a conduit of the Creator's might, a decree that struck like lightning through the heart of the rebellion. Lucifer, once the morning star, staggered, his wings faltering as the divine force rent his shadowed splendor asunder. In that instant, the heavens split, and he plummeted, a blazing streak of darkness trailing behind him, dragging his legion with him into the abyss. This was not a mere defeat, but a cataclysm, a fall that echoed like a star collapsing into oblivion. The rebels, a third of the host, followed their leader, their lights extinguished as they tumbled from the celestial heights, their beauty twisted into ruin. The book of Isaiah captured this descent. "How you have fallen from heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. A lament for a glory lost to pride. Imagine a comet blazing through the sky, only to crash in silence." This was Lucifer's end, his radiance snuffed out, his army scattered like ashes on the wind. The firmament shuddered, its golden expanse marred by the void left in their wake, a testament to the cost of defiance. The abyss that swallowed them was no fiery pit, but a realm of desolation, a shadowland where the Creator's light could not reach. Lucifer's fall was not just physical, but existential. His essence, once a hymn to divine artistry, now a hollow echo of what he had been. The faithful watched in silence, their victory bitter-sweet, as the one who had led their songs became a stranger, his name erased from the rolls of heaven. The war ended with a single stroke, but its reverberations lingered, a reminder that even the brightest could fade when they turned from their source. When the last echoes of battle faded, a heavy stillness settled over the heavens, a silence that bore the weight of irreparable loss. The celestial realm, once a sanctuary of unbroken peace, now wore the marks of conflict, its golden light fractured, its harmony a memory tinged with sorrow. The fiery stones, where Lucifer had once walked in grace, stood as mute witnesses to a unity sundered, their glow dimmed by the shadow of betrayal. The seraphim resumed their song, but its cadence carried a mournful note, while the cherubim's eyes, though steadfast, reflected a grief too deep for words. Heaven endured, its order restored, yet it was forever changed, a paradise bearing scars that no time could heal. This was not a return to perfection, but a restoration shadowed by absence. The faithful angels, their light still bright, felt the weight of their triumph, a victory that came at the cost of brothers lost to pride. Imagine a garden after a storm, its blooms intact but its soil torn. This was the celestial expanse, beautiful yet wounded. The book of Revelation later spoke of this fracture, noting how the dragon's tail swept stars from the sky, a poetic echo of the void left behind. The Creator's presence remained, a balm to the host, yet the memory of rebellion lingered like a crack in a flawless mirror, reflecting both light and loss. The unity of the host was mended, but its innocence was gone, replaced by a solemn awareness of freedom's price. The angels gathered closer to the throne, their worship renewed with a fervor born of survival, yet their eyes occasionally drifted to the abyss below, where their kin had fallen. This scar was not a blemish but a lesson, etched into the fabric of heaven, a reminder that even in the divine realm, choice could sunder what love had built. The peace that returned was resilient, forged in the crucible of conflict, but it carried a quiet ache, a testament to the morning star's descent. In the depths of the abyss, where light dissolved into chaos, Lucifer emerged transformed, his once dazzling form now a twisted husk of its former glory. No longer the morning star, he became Satan, the adversary, his beauty warped into a visage of horror, his wings a shroud of shadow. The separation from the Creator burned deeper than any flame, a wound that seared his essence with an agony beyond mortal ken. Stripped of heaven's splendor, he stood amidst his fallen legion, their lights extinguished, their voices silenced, a king without a throne, yet unbowed by his defeat. The abyss was not a prison of walls, but of isolation, a void where the divine presence was but a distant memory. From this desolation sprang a new purpose, forged in the crucible of his rage and pride. Satan turned his gaze upward, beyond the celestial heights he could no longer touch, to the earth the Creator had vowed to cherish. "If I cannot ascend," he vowed, his voice a hiss that echoed through the dark, "then those made in his image shall fall with me." His hatred found its target in humanity, the beings destined to bear the Creator's likeness, a love he could no longer claim. Imagine a deposed ruler plotting against a new heir. This was Satan, his bitterness a blade honed against the innocent. The book of Genesis foreshadows this vendetta, where the serpent's cunning first strikes at Eden, a prelude to the mission born in this moment. His fall marked not an end, but a beginning, a war against the Almighty waged through his beloved creation. The faithful angels felt the tremor of his resolve, a chill that rippled through the restored heavens as Satan's vow took root, to corrupt, to deceive, to drag humanity into the shadow that now defined him. The celestial conflict had ended, but its echoes stretched forward, a battle shifting from the firmament to the hearts of men, where the adversary's wrath would seek its bitter triumph. From the abyss, Satan's gaze pierced the veil of creation, settling on a garden bathed in the Creator's tender care, a paradise where innocence bloomed like flowers under a gentle sun. Here humanity took its first breath, Adam and Eve, woven from dust yet bearing the divine spark, a union of frailty and eternity that inflamed Satan's wrath. Cloaked as a serpent, his form a mockery of the beauty he once wielded, he slithered into Eden, his tongue laced with a venom sweeter than honey. "Did God truly forbid you the fruit of every tree?" he hissed, his words a soft breeze stirring the still air, planting a seed of curiosity in Eve's unguarded heart. This was not a roar of conquest, but a whisper, a subtle twist that turned trust into question. The trap was set with cunning, not force, his eyes glinting with the promise of forbidden wisdom. "You will be like God, knowing good and evil," he murmured, each syllable a thread, weaving doubt into desire, coaxing Eve toward the tree that stood as a testament to human freedom. She reached, tasted, and shared, and with that single act, the shadow breached the garden's light, innocence fracturing like glass under a silent blow. Genesis captures this moment, the serpent's guile ushering sin into the world, a victory born not of battle, but of deception. Imagine a thief slipping through an open gate, unnoticed until the treasure is gone. This was Satan's triumph, a quiet theft that severed humanity's bond with its maker, echoing his own fall in their ruin. The ripples spread beyond Eden, staining creation with a darkness that mirrored the abyss. Adam and Eve's eyes opened, not to divinity but to shame, their harmony with the Creator replaced by a rift that Satan savored. The garden, once a hymn to divine love, became a battlefield, its peace lost to the serpent's subtle strike. This first assault was a blueprint, a testament to his patience and precision, a vow fulfilled to mar what the Creator cherished most. The light of humanity dimmed, yet within that shadow lingered a promise, a seed of redemption the adversary could not foresee. Satan's vendetta did not end with Eden's fall. It stretched across the ages, his shadow weaving through history to test the faithful. In the wilderness, after 40 days of fasting, he confronted Jesus, the Son clothed in flesh, his voice dripping with temptation. "If you are God's own, turn these stones to bread." The offer was a lure, exploiting hunger to bend divine will. Yet Jesus countered with scripture, "Man lives not by bread alone," his words a shield of trust that repelled the assault. Satan pressed on, lifting him to the temple's peak. "Cast yourself down, let angels bear you up." A dare to prove power through spectacle. But Jesus stood firm. "Do not test the Lord," his resolve a rock unshaken by pride. The final temptation was a vision of kingdoms gleaming under Satan's sway. "All this I will give if you bow to me," a bid to steal worship from the Creator. Yet Jesus rebuked him. Worship only God, his faith a flame that burned away the shadow's grasp. Matthew's account reveals this clash, a mirror to Eden yet reversed. Where humanity fell, the Son stood, his obedience a beacon against the tempter's wiles. Imagine a fortress weathering a siege, its walls unbreached. This was Jesus, proving that faith could defy the serpent's craft, a victory that echoed through the faithful. Centuries earlier, Satan turned his gaze to Job, a man of righteousness whose life shone with devotion. Before the Creator, he sneered, "Does Job serve you for nothing?" A challenge to strip away blessings and test faith's root. With permission granted, he unleashed torrents of loss. Wealth vanished, children perished, health crumbled, yet Job's spirit endured. "The Lord gives and takes away," he declared, his voice trembling with grief yet steady with trust, a defiance that silenced Satan's taunt. Job's story stands as a pillar, showing that faith, though battered, could rise above despair, a light that the adversary could not extinguish. Through the tapestry of human existence, Satan's influence lingered, a relentless whisper threading through every age, seeking to dim the divine spark within each soul. His tactics shifted with the tides of time, subtle doubt sown in moments of weakness, despair cloaked as reason, temptations draped in fleeting pleasures. Yet his aim remained steadfast, to sever humanity from its creator. In the bustling cities of antiquity, he stirred pride among kings, whispering of power beyond divine bounds. While in quiet villages, he fanned envy, turning neighbor against neighbor. His shadow was not a storm, but a mist, pervasive and insidious, seeping into hearts unguarded by faith. This was no chaotic rampage, but a calculated war, waged with the precision of a hunter stalking prey. The book of Ephesians warns of the ruler of the power of the air, a force weaving schemes against the faithful, a presence felt in every choice that favored self over surrender. Consider the fall of empires, Babylon's hubris, Rome's decadence, each a thread in his design, a testament to his patience in unraveling divine order. Yet his power was not boundless. Every soul that turned to prayer, every act of love, pushed back his reach, a reminder that the Creator's light endured beyond his grasp. The faithful faced him in myriad forms, doubt in the silence of suffering, allure in the promise of wealth. Yet history brims with those who stood firm. Think of Daniel, unshaken in the lion's den, or the martyrs who sang amid flames, their resilience a wall against the shadow's tide. Satan's persistence was formidable, a voice that echoed Eden's question in every ear, yet it faltered before the steadfast, a force limited by the Creator's sovereign will. His war raged on, a battle for hearts where each victory was fleeting, each defeat a step toward his inevitable end. The book of Revelation unveils the culmination of this age-long strife, a vision where Satan, now the great dragon, gathers his forces for a last, desperate stand. His form, once radiant, now looms as a monstrous shadow, scales gleaming with the deceit of centuries, his roar a call to corrupt the world he could not rule. The earth trembles under tribulation, plagues scourge the land, skies darken with omens, as he unleashes chaos through the beast and false prophet, counterfeit heralds of a kingdom built on lies. His ambition burns anew, a final bid to claim the worship he craved, a twisted mockery of the Creator's throne. Michael rises once more, his sword a blaze of divine justice, leading the heavenly host against this ancient foe. The clash is fierce, a tempest of light and dark that rends the fabric of creation. Yet it is not a prolonged struggle. The dragon's might crumbles before the Creator's truth. "Who is like God?" echoes again, a cry that shatters the rebel's illusions as Revelation's prophecy unfolds. The devil was thrown down, that ancient serpent who led the world astray. Imagine a fortress collapsing under its own weight. This was Satan's end, his army scattered, his power stripped by the one he could never rival. Cast into the lake of fire, a chasm of sulfur and torment, Satan's fate is sealed, an eternal exile where his voice falls silent, his reach severed from creation. The faithful angels stand sentinel, their lights unbowed, as the Creator's justice restores order, a triumph not of force, but of righteousness. This final act, vivid in John's vision, closes the circle begun in heaven's war. A rebellion that shook the stars now ends in ash. A testament to the limits of pride against the boundless love that reigns supreme. From Eden's breach to Revelation's close, the saga of Satan unveils a truth etched in the marrow of existence. Goodness prevails, not by might alone, but by the essence of the Creator's heart. Michael's cry, "Who is like God?" resounds as a clarion through time, a beacon that guided the faithful through shadow to light. Gabriel's messages, to Mary, to Zechariah, wove redemption's thread, heralding a Savior whose blood resealed the bond Satan sought to break. Even Abaddon, the destroyer, served as a somber herald of justice, his chaos a call to repentance that underscored the Creator's mercy amid judgment. This victory is no fleeting triumph, but an eternal promise, a restoration where every tear finds its balm. The book of Revelation paints this dawn, a new heaven and earth where darkness holds no sway, a city aglow with the Creator's presence. Imagine a dawn that banishes night forever. This is the legacy of the faithful, a testament to faith, hope, and love as weapons that outlasted the serpent's guile. Satan's fall, from star to shadow, mirrors humanity's journey. Yet where he chose pride, the redeemed chose trust. Their lives a chorus that drowns out his whispers. The angels' roles, Michael's valor, Gabriel's voice, Abaddon's warning, stand as pillars in this divine plan, urging humanity to walk in the light that never fades. History bends toward this truth. The Creator's love, patient and unyielding, redeems what pride sought to ruin. The shadow's reach, though vast, ends in silence, while the faithful rise, their voices joined with heaven's song, proclaiming a victory written before time, an anthem of grace that echoes beyond the stars. Through the radiant dawn of heaven, the whispers of pride, the clash of celestial swords, the shadows reach across human history in the final blaze of divine triumph. One truth shines unbroken. Love endures where pride falters. Lucifer's saga, from a star aglow with the Creator's delight to Satan, the adversary cast into eternal silence, reveals the cost of turning from light and the power of choosing it anew. Michael's unwavering cry, Gabriel's heralding voice, and even Abaddon's somber judgment weave a tapestry of redemption, proving that goodness, rooted in the Creator's heart, prevails over every shadow. This is not just a story of angels and wars. It's a mirror to our own choices, a call to stand firm in a world where whispers still echo Eden's doubt. What do you think? Can pride lurk in even the purest heart, or is the triumph of true love inevitable? Share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear how this story resonates with you. If it resonates with you, give this video a like. You're lighting our way to continue sharing these timeless truths. Share this journey with others, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you're always up to date on our latest explorations into the mysteries of faith. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon in the next episode. God bless you.